seen some objections till now. So I think, Asa, if you start recording. Perfect. Yeah, so we have 1.5 hours for this webinar. To those of you 10, 12 people who just joined, I'm Dag Håkon Hamberg from NTNU, and also Asa and Elisa are here with us to organize the webinar. So today we have, as I mentioned, three speakers, and we have the first one is Iiro Eerola, and he's a policy officer for research and innovation in the European Commission, and with the title for the webinar, Code of Practice on Industry Academia Co-Creation for Knowledge Valorization. And he's also he's a policy officer, as I mentioned. He also a PhD from the University of Turku in Finland, and has done also an MBA at the United Business Institute in Brussels, Belgium. And before joining the commission, he worked in the Christian Duve Institute of Cellular Pathology and Université Catholique de Louvain in Brussels, Belgium. And he has a strong background in research policy and innovation management, and plays a pivotal role in shaping research and innovation strategies. So he will be the first speaker. I'll just also introduce the two other speakers before Iiro is going to take the floor. The second speaker today is Massimo Busuoli. He's a director at Norwegian University of Science and Technology at the Brussels office of the university. And his presentation title today will be The Increasing Importance of Impacts and Synergies for a Competitive Europe, from Local to Global. And he has been leading the NTNU Brussels office since January 2016. And prior to this, he served as the head of the European Union International Bodies Unit at ENEA, the Italian National Agency for New Technologies, Energy and Sustainable Economic Development. And as a project evaluator and a reviewer for the European Commission, Massimo has also managed numerous European projects, and in 2014, he coordinated the organizational secretary for the SET Plan conference during Italy's presidency in Rome, showcasing his extensive expertise in the European research and development initiative. So we also look a lot forward to Massimo's presentation. And our third speaker here today is Ursula Bodisch, International Project Manager at the Austrian Research Promotion Agency, FFG. And she has the presentation title ERA Learn, the support platform for a European R&I partnership community. And she's an international project manager, as I mentioned, at the FFG, where she plays a pivotal role in driving innovation and research initiatives across various industries. And she is also involved with the ERA Learn initiative, which is a support platform for the R&I partnership community and funded by Horizon Europe. So she'll be the third speaker today. But first and foremost, we'll give the floor to Iiro to have your presentation titled The Code of Practice on Industry Academia Co-Creation for Knowledge Valorization. So the floor is yours, Iiro.
Thank you very much, Dag Håkon, and good morning to everybody. As said, I work as a policy officer in the unit for valorization policies and IPR in the Prosperity Directorate of DG Research and Innovation. I'm going to talk about this Code of Practice on Industry Academia Co-Creation, which is part of our policy work on knowledge valorization. But before we go to the code, I have a couple of slides for introduction. So next slide, please. So let's start from the definition of knowledge valorization, how it stands in the official EU documents. So you can see it here in the slide. So it refers to the process of creating social and economic value from knowledge. And here I want to emphasize that it's not only for economic, but also for social value. Then it continues by linking different areas and sectors. So here to note that it's by definition multidisciplinary, very connected, interconnected approach. And then it continues by transforming data, know-how, and research results into sustainable products, services, solutions, and knowledge-based policies that benefit society. Next slide, please. So it's very clear that the collaboration between academia and industry is a key channel for knowledge valorization. And there are very well established schemes at the EU, national, regional, and local level to support these kind of interactions. For example, joint research projects, public-private partnerships, also intersectoral mobility is an important element because knowledge can move with people. The role of KTOs, so knowledge transfer organizations and facilitators is very important because they act as important intermediaries between industry and academia. And what is very important for knowledge valorization is these multi-directional flows of data and research results between actors, because they feed into the iterative cycle of knowledge valorization. And as we want to improve these interactions, valorization, we need more interactive models of collaboration, digital platforms, and co-creation models that then help matching the supply and demand for innovation. And we need also entrepreneurial skills and culture which drive experimentation to address market and society related challenges and exploitation of results. Next slide, please. So let's move to the next one. And next one, I think we need to skip this because we have limited time. We know that the EU is not the champion in terms of industry academia collaboration, and so our international competitors are doing better in that sense, and we see it in various indicators such as the number of public-private co-publications, which is in the European Innovation Scoreboard. And also the Draghi report points out that the EU, that in the EU, the interaction between universities and businesses is weak. And this is, according to him, part of the root causes which limit the innovation capacity of the EU and then ultimately the economic growth. And you might have seen when Mr. Draghi goes around and gives presentations, he often refers to the data from the EPO that only about 1/3 of the patented inventions by the European universities and research institutions are commercially exploited. So this is also a competitiveness issue, so and very actual currently. To accelerate innovation and improve competitiveness, we need to tackle the weakness of academia-industry collaboration. Next slide, please. And click once again, please. Let's then move to our policy development. Knowledge valorization is part of the ERA policy agenda. There we have the Action 7 to upgrade the EU guidance for better knowledge valorization. What has been delivered is the Council recommendation on the guiding principles for knowledge valorization. It provides the political level guidance for policymakers to improve knowledge valorization. This recommendation was adopted in December 2022. And then we have 4 Commission recommendations on the codes of practice, which provide concrete recommendations for research and innovation actors on certain areas of knowledge valorization. So we have two sets of codes in a way. The codes on intellectual asset management and standardization were adopted in March 2023. And then the codes of practice on industry academia co-creation and citizen engagement were adopted 1 year later, in March 2024. And these codes were co-created with the stakeholders through communities of practice. Next slide, please. So the objective of the code of practice on industry academia co-creation is to support the implementation of the guiding principles and to provide concrete recommendations for R&I actors to facilitate industry academia co-creation for knowledge valorization. And by focusing on co-creation rather than collaboration, we want to emphasize the importance that industry and academia work together from early on, and that they actively seek for common interest and jointly produce and valorize knowledge. Next slide, please. So the code includes 10 recommendations, which are divided into 2 sections. The first focuses on creating an enabling environment for industry academia co-creation. We have 5 recommendations in this section. So the first one is to promote industry academia co-creation in the strategy of the organization. This can be done, for example, by including it in the mission or in the R&D strategy of the organization. It also calls for strengthening the dialogue between industry and academia at the level of advisory structures, and in general it calls for engaging in collaborative and mission-oriented research. The second recommendation is to raise the awareness about the mutual benefits and value creation opportunities offered by co-creation. This includes, for example, sharing best practices and success stories of co-creation. It's also an opportunity to address societal challenges more efficiently and to share the risk of testing new ideas and technologies. The third recommendation is to provide incentives. This includes recognition and reward in performance evaluations and in career assessment, also in the recruitment phase. It also recommends to engage in bidirectional intersectoral mobility, not only from the usual direction from academia to industry, but also from industry to academia. Then the fourth recommendation is to invest in skills and lifelong learning. This is encouraging coaching, mentoring, and facilitating access to micro-credentials and vocational training, and also strengthening transversal entrepreneurial and leadership skills. And it also calls for involving teachers with diverse profiles, especially from industry. And the last recommendation here is to invest in networking, communication, and relationship building, for example, through participating in networks, clusters, joint working groups, advisory boards, etc. Next slide, please. So then the second section focuses on managing industry academia co-creation for effective knowledge valorization. Again, a set of 5 recommendations here. The first one is to develop a joint industry academia partnership framework. This should be based on a shared vision, goals, and expectations, and it should include a clear governance structure and joint intellectual asset management strategy. The second recommendation is to foster the role of intermediaries, such as KTOs. They should be supported with adequate resources. It calls for investing in the professionalization of intermediaries and supporting collaboration and sharing of best practices between them. Then the third recommendation is to promote valorization of the outcomes of co-creation activities. This includes, for example, having a valorization plan for each result, including also rules on the ownership and control of each result. Then the fourth recommendation is to pool resources and engage in joint infrastructures and facilities, as they often offer professional support for business development, industry relation, etc. And another point here is to support and participate in open innovation platforms. And then finally, for assessing the outcomes, value created and impact, the code recommends to define appropriate metrics, including qualitative and quantitative metrics, and use of case studies to demonstrate societal impact. So these were just highlights of the recommendations. So the code includes actually altogether more than 70 points under these 10 recommendations. So covering a very broad range of different elements promoting industry academia co-creation. The next slide, please. So then I think we have a couple of minutes, hopefully. So briefly, some other activities. There is an awareness raising campaign going on knowledge valorization. 12 national events have been organized so far. We have had also 2 stakeholder events, and the latest was in December in Brussels. So you have the video recordings available in this link. There was also a mutual learning exercise involving 18 countries. Norway was also included. And this final report of the MLE describes a policy toolbox that could be used to implement national strategies on knowledge valorization. And then we also organize knowledge valorization talks. This is using a short format, and the talks focus on new trends and developments in knowledge valorization. There's one on AI, for example. So these recordings are also available in the links indicated in the slide. Next slide, please. We also promote sharing of best practices on knowledge valorization. We have the platform, which includes a repository containing more than 130 best practices that have been submitted by stakeholders. About 40 of those practices are related to industry academia collaboration. So I encourage you to look at the best practices and also submit your own best practice. There is an ongoing call for that. Next slide, please. Then we have also some projects funded through Horizon Europe. Which are then supporting some key concepts about industry academia co-creation. So here we have Indusac. They support international co-creation teams of students, researchers, and company personnel. They work together and to solve industrial and business challenges. So basically here the companies submit their business challenges, which are then open for applications from students and researchers. And Indusac takes care of forming the co-creation teams and provides them with some financial and managerial support when they are working to solve the challenges. And there are currently some calls open for students and researchers to join the co-creation teams. So please check the opportunities. You have the website there and disseminate this information among your networks. The other project I want to highlight is this EU Efficient. It's quite a new CSA. The objective is to create, pilot, and validate communities of expert facilitators to improve co-creation. They will offer a personalized training program for industry academia facilitators. It starts with a self-evaluation tool to evaluate your training needs, and then it offers personalized training modules. So, and they will also establish an online platform to share best practices, use cases, and they will have also some thematic webinars. So they are currently building the network. So I encourage you to check this website here and join this network if you found it interesting. So basically, this was all I wanted to present. The last slide is for the links, so you can get further information from there. So thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you, Iiro, for a very interesting presentation. And you mentioned the links in the end here, and there was some questions in the chat as well about the presentations, and the presentations will be made available on the Era Fabric project website in not so long. So so you can then everyone can then find the links there. As well as the other slides. Please also to everyone here in the room, please also keep in mind your questions to Iiro for the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So just note down your question and be ready for that later on. Then there's time for our second speaker, and that is Massimo Busuoli from NTNU. To repeat that, the title of his presentation is The Increasing Importance of Impact and Synergies for a Competitive Europe, from local to global. And the floor is yours, Massimo.
Thank you very much, Doug, and very interesting presentation, Iiro, because it takes me to the old time when I was a technology transfer manager. So I have grown with the Relay Center network and the follow-up Enterprise Europe network in being the facilitator for making technology transfer to happen, transfer of knowledge for the benefit of industry. So when I got invited to give you an overview, I was thinking, okay, where I can try to add value. And basically, I thought to make my presentation more on a practical point of view and what could be the perspective for stakeholders to enter this fantastic world of opportunity, which is represented by Europe. So I tried to share my screen, hoping that it will work. And the Murphy effect is not appearing because before it was always working and now probably nothing will work again. Let me see. Can you confirm me that you see it?
Now we see your PowerPoint view. So if you go to presenter view,
I tried. I am in presented view currently, but seems I don't know if you have the presenter view on your screen.
Now I see. Now I see the presentation.
Okay, good. So the framework that we are going to leave, because I would like to give you a perspective opinion. The framework we're going to leave will be strongly influenced in its shaping by some of the current documents that have been prepared with a view of driving or giving ideas and inputs on the upcoming framework program, or if you want, the upcoming investment period in research and innovation. Here you see four of the influencers that are going to somehow drive the decisions that the Commission will put on the table to shape the framework that in the next year will be faced by us as the tool to implement our capability to impact in the European system. There are some common keywords, if you want, on the documents presented by Ursula von der Leyen as a program for the Commission, by Draghi in his report, as has been highlighted by Iiro, but also Heitor in analyzing the midterm evaluation of the current framework program Horizon, and also Mr. Letta somehow is pointing out on the importance of research innovation, on the importance of a single market finance, but at least a more cohesive Europe with more capability to interact at global level and capable to exchange. There are some common keywords. Of course, there are many common keywords, but I think the one which are more relevant for the event today are EU competitiveness, the importance of R&D, and the need to generate breakthrough innovation. And this somehow, I fully agree with Iiro about the fact that we need to make sure that we are capable to generate a lot of exchange of mutual knowledge, results, capability to generate innovation, but also transfer the knowledge that is somewhere in Europe to another side in Europe when it's necessary. This implies that we need to come out from a situation in which, and this is typical in every country system, we think a bit self-referentially, and somehow you have maybe in your hand something that is extremely good and could have a potential for European dimension, but you are scared, or maybe you're not fully acquainted about the fact that this is something of potential impact in Europe. And Europe is... sorry? I've heard someone speaking. No. So basically, the European context is a complex world of alliances, initiatives, platform, places where if you are active and if you participate, you can basically build the opportunity to valorize what you're doing and basically impact and generate collaboration that can allow you to export your knowledge beyond the national boundaries. This is something that, of course, is costly and takes time and takes an investment and effort, but can be extremely rewarding, especially if you start developing on your side a European-oriented mentality. Uh, this means, as I told you, that you need to somehow decide, plan in advance, and spend time in being active, engaged. Choose the platform you're looking for, choose the place you think fit better for your needs and for your vision about valorizing yourself beyond your national boundaries and start interacting. There are some important ingredients to succeed in Europe. I mean, the positioning is key. I mean, you need to qualify yourself, you need to qualify your organization, you need to make yourself visible so to become desirable. And this is very important because when you are desirable, you are invited. When you are invited, you start growing in a system that appears complex, but the reality is not. It's just a matter of starting interacting. Don't think that everyone in Europe is aware about anything. Don't think that even, pass me the term, the European Commission have everything in mind. I mean, you can even be an inspirer for interesting approaches at European level. The European Commission, as Iiro said, is always looking for ideas, best practices, good practices of national level that maybe could have an impact at European one, so that can be somehow adopted and taken forward for the benefit of the whole European community. So positioning is key. Positioning is key and is based on your ambition, but also on your strategy, but also, of course, networking. You have to network, you have to interact, you have to be active and, again, valorize and fight in the complex, competitive system that Europe is to emerge from the mass, to do what I like to define the asynchronous jump. In Europe, everyone is jumping, trying to be noticed. The trick is when the others are down, you're up and you showcase yourself. It's important, and I think this is exactly the right period to start thinking on a mid-long-term planning, because the next framework program is supposed to start in 2028. So it's time now to plan your ambitions for 3 years ahead. And as I told you, underestimating your competencies and assets is not an option. You have to trust what you're doing, and you have to trust on the values that it can have beyond your national boundaries. And of course, this means that you need to identify your community and action and invest in entering it and have possibly even a leading role. You have to qualify yourself and become a key stakeholder. And of course, you have to be patient. Nothing happens in a while. I mean, it's not that you participate to a meeting at European level that suddenly you become a European asset. You need to give yourself 1 or 2 years plus to grow, to get acquainted with the others, to shake hands, to smile, to some extent be Italian if you want, social and outspoken in the context. I would like to give you an example about what happened to me in the past, because another element of importance is to have a framework of reference. So I mentioned to you that there are plenty of frameworks of references, and I would like to provoke constructively, because the Era Learn project that, the Era Fabric project that today is the organizer of this meeting, was created in a context that the Commission was thinking to put in place, which was the concept of the so-called Era Hubs, which at the moment is not, I mean, is in a sort of suspended modality. But the Era Hubs were basically the counterpart of the currently quite successful European Digital Innovation Hubs that try to generate local mass of knowledge and try to generate a network of points of knowledge at European levels that, through a mutual exchange and networking about available resources, knowledge, and capacities, somehow speed up the capability to exchange innovation and to adopt innovation. There is no reason to reinvent the wheel if the wheel is already somewhere else. So it's just a matter of having the wheel traveling to your location. The digital innovation hubs start as a concept many years ago through an initiative of DigiConnect, where I had the chance to be engaged. At the time, the Commission thought about launching a tool which were called preparatory support and transfer action, with other where then, if you want, applied research projects where knowledge from RTOs or universities were somehow deployed to fit industry needs. The role of intermediaries, the role of knowledge valorizators were key there to identify needs from the companies and available technologies. And the value there was the fact that the Commission at the time already put together community of local actors organized in national nodes that basically were having continuous exchange of available knowledge at local level and technological needs at other level. At the time, I was a young, enthusiastic researcher, and I was very interested in discovering the others. So there were some technologies which really attracted my attention. One of them was, today, maybe you're going to laugh, but at the time it was a outstanding approach, a quality control system for the level of cooking of biscuits. And I think I know who is, but I don't know if I can shut down the microphone. No. The level of cooking of biscuits using vision technology. So basically image analysis. And I contacted a company in Italy called Colussi, which is a biscuit producer, and say, would you like to try to innovate by adding to your ovens in the final end of the chain a telecamera, a camera which just analyze the cookings and retrofit the oven to optimize the cooking, so to have an optimal cooking at the end, reducing material waste, etc., etc. They did it. And the technology was finished. So it was a transfer of a technology which was available in the network, thanks to the role of the knowledge valorizator, that was me at the time, putting together a local university. At the time it was University of Parma, which was developing a sort of initial artificial intelligence approach. There was a neural network approach, a self-learning software that was capable to analyze the images and basically feed back to the oven. A cookie oven is a 50-meter long, 12-meter long tapis roulant with different levels of cooking into it, and is linked to several parameters like the heating of the cooking, but also the chimney and the weather conditions, because of course the heating exchange with external system is of course depending also on the weather. And so every day there was a man in the workshop running to the end of the oven, checking the biscuits, going back and try to fine tune to have the optimal cooking at the end. So we developed this, and it was a successful project. Then this ended, but the good value is that there were plenty of these kind of examples in the overall network. So at the end, I think we generated more than 100, 150 of this kind of technology transfer exercise, cross-fertilizing each other. After some years, I spoke with the people that were there and said, but at the end, what has been the final outcome? And they told me, you know, Massimo, today, all our production chains are equipped with machines that does this quality control that are produced by a company in Bolzano, which also sells these machines to McDonald's to check the quality control of their hamburgers. I say, okay, that's very interesting, nice impact, and very good. So just to demonstrate that the approach that Iiro is proposing, that I fully support, is very, very potentially impactful, provided, of course, there is enthusiasm and organization around it. And on this, I would like also to provoke Iiro productively, because I think that the role of an organized network, like initially was the concept of the HERA hubs in the Commission or something similar, could definitely help in having an organized system and motivated in facilitating the exchange, because sometimes the finding of information over the digital tools is quite complex. To conclude, and to try to stimulate you to have a structured approach to Europe. The national ecosystemic approach, so collaboration with industries and other stakeholders, is key to generate and nurture knowledge and excellence. On the other side, this, combined with an active engagement at European level in relevant initiatives and networks, is fundamental to cross-fertilize knowledge and keep excellence high. And somehow this is, if you want, a loop. If you start combining the two, you will notice that you will grow locally, and at the same time, you will improve your capability to impact at European level, benefiting in increasing your knowledge that will impact locally, etc., etc. And it is an infinite loop. I think I stop here, and I'm very happy then to have further exchanges with you on this and on other experiences related to technology transfer. Thank you.
And thank you, Massimo. And as I already has mentioned for Iiro, your slides will also be available after the webinar for people to look at. And also here, keep in mind your questions for Massimo or for all the three speakers for the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. The next speaker up then is our third and last speaker, and that is Ursula Bodisch. And she has the title that we can see already here, the support platform for the European R&I Partnership Community area, Learn. So the floor is yours, Ursula.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present our project. So Learn is a CSA supported by Horizon Europe. It's a support platform for the European R&I partnership community. We see ourselves as service provider and facilitator. Our project is quite has a long history. It started in 2009. It is now in its fifth phase. We are a consortium of funding organizations and analysts providing support and guidance to the community since 2009, as I said. Maybe you are familiar with some of the wordings which I put here in the graph on the right side, like public to public partnerships or EET kicks or public-private partnerships, ERA nets, and these terms all more or less are now rearranged in Horizon Europe in these three types of partnership: the co-funded, the institutionalized, and the co-programmed partnerships. What is a partnership? These are initiatives in which the European Commission and the private and public partners commit themselves jointly to support the development and implementation of research and innovation programs. So these programs are funded with Horizon Europe money, but with Horizon Europe support, but they are a bit linked and synergetic to the Horizon Europe work programs. The aim is therefore also to develop the European research area, to overcome the fragmentation of the R&I landscape, to provide duplication with national and regional research activities, and to promote competitiveness and innovation. These three types of partnerships are, on the one hand, bounded to the different legal frames. So, for example, the co-funded Europe partnerships that do have really a contract in Horizon Europe. So the project types are co-fund actions. These co-funded partnerships involve member states, associated states, but also with research funded, of course, and other public authorities at the core of the consortium, but also other actors are involved in these partnerships. While the co-program partnerships design a memorandum of understandings with the European Commission, there are mainly private and public partners involved, and the goal they are not launched in the partnership themselves, but they are implemented in the Horizon Europe work programs. And the third types are the institutional ones. So these are really long term. They have a long term dimension, and they have a need for higher integration. And also the legal framework is different. So this is the Article 187 or 185 are used for that. So they are really more integrated programs. To give you an overview on the content of these partnerships. Yeah, here's the portfolio of the partnerships. So you see the yellow ones are the institutional ones, the light blue, the co-funded partnerships, and the dark blue, the co-programmed ones. And you can see that there are a lot of different areas and topics covered by these board partnerships. All the 49s from the first strategic plan are up and running, but there are upcoming ones mentioned in the second strategic plan. They are listed here on the side. On the one hand, you have 4 co-programmed new partnerships and 5 co-funded European partnerships, like, for example, the Brain Health Partnership. And coming back to our project, the Eerola project, we are providing an overview on this. So our aim or our work are strongly bound to these partnerships. So we try to help them to facilitate the interactions. So we do have in our on our web portal as what we see as a central information hub for partnerships. On the one hand, an overview about the partnerships themselves, or about the history of partnerships, but also the upcoming discussion on the next framework program. We have a part which we are calling to explore partnerships with our database, which I will show you briefly afterwards. We have a support section for partnership with concrete guidelines, toolboxes, and the like. We have a news and events section and the document section. And in the document section, for example, you can find on the one hand, annual reports. So this means an overview about the development of partnerships. So we are more focusing on the Horizon 2020 partnerships, as the biennial monitoring report is more focusing on the Horizon Europe partnerships. And we have, for example, country reports. If you are interested in a particular country, these are in-depth analysis of the performance of a country in partnerships. They are prepared with interviews, so you do not only find statistical data here, but a lot of other aspects are covered. So we are reaching out for policy, for stakeholders on the policy level, network administrators and researchers. And the central information you can find here on our platform, which is listed here. So I would like to show 2 examples of documents. The first one is a new brochure, which is called 2 Decades of European Partnerships. Here you can see on the one hand a statistical overview, so partnership in numbers. For example, the development of national investments in calls across the framework programs. So you can see there's a huge increase from the FP6 to the Horizon Europe program now. But there are also a lot of impact stories mentioned. So we do have 20 years now. So more than 20 impact stories are listed, which is quite a lot. And the second document I would like to highlight in relevance to this The topic of the seminar is the toolbox and guidance on mechanisms for synergy creation. You can find this also free for download, of course, on our website. This toolbox starts with a topology description, what kind of synergies are there. So concerning the different aspects of synergies, and go down into the details on synergy creations with examples, with pros and cons, with links. So there's a whole range of aspects and background information given in this document. Further, what might be interesting in this context is the database which we are hosting. So you can find this, of course, also on our website. This is a database of all former and new partnerships. So on the one hand, you can see, for example, you can find a thematic overview. I give an example on energy, but also country participation. So if you are interested in your country or another one, of course, and the collaboration these country have, then you can find a map which of course is interactive. You can see then which partnerships the particular country is actively involved, and can click through the collaboration options on our website. And I guess it might be also interesting to search for particular organizations, so to have an overview by your own organization or others. Here I put in an example of the French organization, the National Research Agency. Yeah, so you can find here a list of where the agency is actively involved, like which networks they are coordinating, or in which networks they are only participants. So you can explore our database in more depth, of course. It's free, and you can also download lists of your analysis. Further on, we are hosting a call calendar on our website. On the one hand, the partnership calls, so we call this cascading funding. So joint calls launched by the partnerships with funding options. There's not only the calendar view. Of course, when you click here on the blue letters, then you find more information on the call website, the organizations involved in the calls, etc. And what we also provide is an overview on the Horizon Europe calls for partnerships. So if you as agency or regional actor would like to become involved in a concrete partnership, then the co-funded partnerships calls are published on the Horizon Europe portal, and we provide an overview of all these calls. So these 5 new co-funded partnerships, which I mentioned before, there will be in the Horizon Europe work program. All these calls will, these work program updates are not published now, but the deadline are foreseen for September and 2025 and January 2026. So if you're interested, you can find this as soon as it's published on our web portal. maybe you are interested in events, further events. We are organizing a lot of events. On the one hand, we have the large annual partnership stakeholder forum with, this is a physical event with about 400 participants we had last year. Here the aim is that the partnership community gets together, interact with each other, learn from each other. So the networking aspects are quite important here. And then we have a lot of workshops and webinars on specific issues. For example, I mention here some of the latest ones, the implementation of co-funded partnerships or synergies with cohesion policy funds, monitoring the evaluation framework. We did a webinar on that as well, and so on and so forth. So all these are also, of course, available on our website. And we try to document all these events with a lot of different options. Of course, reports, the slides are available for downloads, but we also provide the Q&A summaries and video recordings. So if maybe you're interested in one of the previous ones, then you can find the documentation and can listen to the recordings. And of course, we do have a news alert as well, so you can register to the news alert to get in touch. All the events we are organizing, of course, are announced with the news alert. All the new documents are mentioned in the news alerts. So a registration, I guess, makes sense. And we do not overburden, we are not overburdening the community with news, so this is not that frequent. So I guess we have 5 to 6 newsletters each year. So to sum up what I've presented, on the one hand, you can find on our web portal partnership specific information, of course, downloads, options, analysis. You can find impact stories if you are interested in a particular partnership. Provide a toolbox and guidance on the mechanisms for synergy creation. We have a database on partnerships with country-specific information, but also participation histories on organizations and countries and the like. You can find partnership calls, but also the Horizon Europe calls for partnerships, and of course, webinar and events, information on that. And we would like to stay in touch with you, so I ask you to register to the news alert. With this, I would like to thank you for your attention. Here, there's a lot of links for further information and support. Thank you, and I give back to the moderator.
Thank you, Ursula, for a nice presentation. And also here we will share the presentations afterwards so that you can have a look at them, and also the links that you also provided in the end here and throughout the presentation. We are now preparing for the Q&A round. So I hope you have some questions here for the 3 speakers. The best way to ask questions is to use the raise hand function in Zoom. There's a react button at the lower part of your screen or at the Zoom window that you can use to raise your hand, or eventually it's also possible to write questions in the chat. And I will read it up to my best abilities. So feel free. Are there any starters for the Q&A round? No, then I will start. I have my first question is there's I think an interesting thing that we've seen here across all the three presentations is that um, as kind of an answer to how to enhance the local impacts and synergies, there's a lot of focus on collaboration, on co-creation, on networks, and as Massimo also said, it's a matter of just starting to interact and get in touch. So I was wondering, how do you kind of start this? How do you initiate such a collaboration or co-creation process with people if you're not already in it? Where do you start? And it goes to all three of you. So who wants to start?
Maybe I can start by highlighting what we did as NTNU, for example, in getting us to grow in the presence at European level. Today, when 10 years ago NTNU decided to position itself more convincingly at European level in the statistics of the framework program, we were the 46th university in Europe in terms of number of projects funded by the Commission. Today we are number 12. And this is the effect of a strategic approach that took us to analyze the existing initiatives and the strategic partnerships that have been presented by Ursula are a clear example on how you can get engaged, because one aspect that I think has been extremely appreciated by the stakeholder community of R&I and industry players is the fact that the strategic partnership have been made open to anyone willing to participate into them. It's just a matter of deciding to invest in them. So basically, of course, there is an investment to be implemented. There is a strategic choice to be made. But basically, what you're going to do, I mean, you are going to enter a family that thematically is relevant for you, and you start interacting with the other. And when I said you need to be active, means that basically these platforms normally give advice and indications to the commissions about, for example, what are going to be the priorities on which to invest for the benefit of Europe in order to achieve impact, innovation, and return. And the design of the priorities is not just a top-down approach, it's a very bottom-up, because through these strategic partnerships, through the alliances which is linked to them, the community meet, greet, discuss, and come out with strategic research agendas with designed approaches that basically then represent the baseline on which the opportunities are then launched in the form of calls for proposals. It's clear that you can have a dual approach. Either you become part of the community, you start coming in the meetings, you start reading every email, you start reacting to requests of inputs, you start giving feedback, and so somehow you become a contributor to all these aspects, or you just wait for the call for proposal and then you decide to submit a project. What is the difference? The difference is that, of course, the way you are going to interpret the call, in case you have been an active member of the community, will be more oriented to the final impact aim. So somehow you have already an advantage in interpreting the right way to propose an action where to valorize your knowledge and to contribute in building something of impact at European level. At the same time, probably you have handshaked with other players that are now your partners in such a proposal. So somehow you have facilitated your entrance in the system. This is where I said positioning is key, because this is a typical positioning action. And the interesting part is that you don't have to do anything inconvenient. You have just to decide to be part of a community. So the strategic partnership to me are a clear example on the best way to act at European level to maximize your possibility to be integrated and benefit from the community of collaboration at all levels, because I mean, there are tons of this kind of initiatives that you need to analyze and to understand if they are fit for purpose and for valorizing what you do. And this clearly impacted. I mean, when we started doing positioning in a more structured way, our numbers in terms of return of collaborations at European level grown.
Thank you. That's important insight. And what I hear from you is also that, well, you shouldn't. There will be calls coming, but you shouldn't wait for the calls. You should start interacting, and then you're prepared to answer the calls when they come.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Was your opinions, Iiro or Ursula?
Yeah, I can continue. So, I mean, very much on the same line as what Massimo said. I mean, basically, I mean, the code of practice on industry academia co-creation, it has this section or the recommendation for networking and communication and relationship building. So there you have different elements for this kind of early engagement. I mean, basically, you start going to meetings which involve different stakeholders, and thereby you start establishing the links. And I mean, of course, these different cluster meetings. I mean, there are so many different networks, platforms to use them, but then we need also some sort of very easy engagement vehicles or sort of schemes, and one example is these co-creation teams that are now being implemented in this Indusac project. For example, I mean, they are doing this sort of in a cross-border manner. You have also some national initiatives using very similar methodology. So basically, to have a sort of low threshold engagement for companies, for example, to put their challenges on table and work together with students, researchers, then to have some ideation and some solutions developed with the multidisciplinary teams of students, for example. And this way you start. I mean, this can be also a sort of first step for a company to be involved in a collaboration. It can be a sort of first door to enter to something bigger than in the later stage. So it's basically making the engagement easier. That's something very important, and the code of practice has some elements for facilitating these first steps there.
Yeah, just making it easier and involving people through these processes, low threshold processes.
Yeah, I would like to say, yes, I agree, of course, with what was said before. I would see the strategic aspects at the core of the first steps. So in a region, to have the regional strategic research and innovation agenda, or as an organization, also that you do have a strategy where you would like to be in a certain point of time, and then to find the right projects or programs or networks which are working in your area, and get in touch with them. For example, at events and the like. My personal experience is, if you are in one of the EU projects and you are acting there as a beneficiary, then of course this is the first step, and then you will be invited for further projects. So one step after the first one. So it's getting it's a growing network afterwards.
So start with something and then grow to the next thing.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. Thank you. Are there any? I haven't seen any questions in the chat, but anyone who has a question I would like to ask, please raise your hand, for instance.
You know, it's a typical effect. We need a starter.
We need a starter. Exactly.
Someone who puts the first question, then the other will follow. Don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy.
Let me be provocative to our audience.
Yeah, or as you said in your presentation, Massimo, be Italian.
Exactly.
So
Extrapolate yourself. Raise your hand and put your question.
if not, I have more questions. So, but I'm sure the others also have it, but they are shy, right? So please don't be shy. Okay. In the meantime,
we can promise a prize to the first question.
Yeah, there will be a prize of honor at least. So okay, my next question is that, well, I'm having my full-time position at the university, and I was wondering, what is there anything for this university industry collaborations that we should prepare or teach in some way our both our new and existing employees, faculty members, scientific employees, administration, and so on, to kind of to lower the thresholds or to more easily get into these partnerships and conversations and so on. Do you see any opportunities there for how universities on their side should work with this?
Yeah, maybe I can start. So yeah, basically, what the code of practice is also saying, that you need to kind of engagement throughout the organization, from top to the bottom. So that's very important. So I mean, this is related to a cultural change that would be important. So and to get there, I mean, you need to. I mean, you can have it in the formal documents like strategy of the organization, etc. But then, of course, it is to invest in the skills development. So then, I mean, we don't have very detailed instructions for that, but basically it's to develop this kind of collaborative skills and I mean transversal skills throughout the organization. And of course, students are very important, because I mean, if they learn it and sort of grow into that kind of culture, then it will have an effect later on in their life. So that's basically what I can say here.
Yeah. The transdisciplinary skills and understanding the other fields as well.
Maybe I can also add on what Iiro said. Again, pointing on the strategy and the strategic approach that at NTNU we have taken to try to exactly benefit from this possible exchange between the European context and the internal context, to on one side provide our expertise, which is multidisciplinary, and by nature the strategic partnership, for example, are multidisciplinary, and so could benefit from the input from professors from different faculties inside NTNU. And we know that universities have always the risk to act as silos, no? Because you have faculties and you need to generate the horizontal link between them, because there are complementary knowledge that can be, if well organized, more impactful in different things. So what we thought in NTNU to do is the following. first identified the strategic partnership of interest, so the construction, the raw material, the advanced material are three examples of strategic partnership where we are engaged and where we are that represent some of the key areas of interest for NTNU. We have identified one representative, a enthusiastic young professor willing to act as NTNU ambassador, and this is the term that we have defined. This person has the mandate to basically speak on behalf of NTNU community of researchers into this platform and to represent the entry door to our system of knowledge. And at national level, so inside NTNU, we have created specific fora. So we have an NTNU forum on food, we have an NTNU forum on construction, we have an NTNU forum on raw materials, we have an NTNU forum on advanced materials that collect professors interested in the topic, but from all the different faculties. And by basically responsibilizing the ambassador to become the taker of opportunities, but also the beneficiary of inputs, we are capable to mobilize our community towards the discussions and opportunities generated at European level. At the same time, we have the possibility to contribute to this platform with a more multidisciplinary impact rather than just a single vertical knowledge of our representative into the platforms. This system is starting working quite well. I don't hide that it took some time to include it in the mentality of the university. A university is a big elephant that is difficult to take forward. So you need to invest time, you need to build best practices. But today, these fora are giving a lot of impact. They are useful tools. They are tools also to identify in a very fast way who could be an expert that we can mobilize for a project opportunity, collaboration opportunity, an industry request, because normally the effect that you have in big entities like universities is that someone asks you, do you have an expert in this field? And then you start the internal treasure hunting. Somehow this allow you to have clear pot of knowledge that you can refer to and you can immediately spot out what could be a good answer to a question, because we have also to remember that if you want to be competitive in the European playfield, the answer is due for yesterday. So you need to be extremely efficient. And I would say universities are known not to be extremely efficient in reacting. So that's my comment on this.
Yeah, and it's interesting with these ambassadors as well to have someone to kind of speak for the group and to scope for the opportunities. What do you think, Ursula?
Yeah, coming back to the question on this, on what you could provide, what I think is important is to have that you as a university have a knowledge management system in a way, so that not only a very experienced expert knows about your European project and is engaged in that, but also that the new ones can get involved. So I've seen it quite often that when someone is leaving an organization, their whole knowledge is gone, and this is really a problem. And I think it's very important to keep an eye on that and to facilitate that knowledge management.
And both when someone is leaving the university, but perhaps also before then, as you mentioned, also not the most experienced, but the younger researchers get involved into projects and collaborations.
Exactly.
Just one final question. I'm Maria Grazia Zucchini from Arter. I'm the ERA Fabric coordinator. From your point of view, in order to have these partnerships, these networks, these co-creation groups really effective and impactful, for the future, what are the aspects that will be to be improved or addressed as crucial or improved for the future? We stressed the importance of the people, but only to transfer their knowledge, their competencies to their respective organization in order to continue. We stressed the importance of to have facilitators and maybe also to invest in training this kind of people to prepare with specific training modules people engaged in facilitating these processes. Some other inputs from your side?
Well, I totally agree with you. I think the most important is not to start all the time from scratch. So continue your knowledge and continue your engagement. I think this is the most important. Well, it depends, of course, when you're talking about a partnership, which partnerships you would like to get involved in, which role do you want to have in this partnership? Of course, you have the coordinator role and work package leaders, task leaders, whatever. When we are talking about the R&I partnerships, you have call management groups, or you have maybe ones that they are dealing with the public involvement, the public engagement with the websites, whatever. Yes. And there are also once you are doing a research for example, to create the strategic research and innovation program of your partnership. So I think this question cannot be answered with one single statement. But I would really would like to advise us to get started, maybe with a smaller partnership in the beginning, or with a smaller project in the beginning, to bridge the gap, and to get in contact with the bigger players then afterwards.
Yeah. If I may add, because this is one of my first love in the beginning of my career, I think that a key figure is the middleware person. We have to remember that companies speak a language and research bodies speak another language. And we need the one which is capable to translate and to link them. This profile, I don't think it is, as of today, fully identified in terms of professional characteristics, because Maria Grazia, you were highlighting the facilitators, which is basically the profile that is more near to what you need. But I think that this person should have also a technological background or a scientific and technological background to have the capability even to inspire the approaches to be taken to maybe transfer a technology or transfer knowledge from one having the need and one having the solution. So, and it's not an easy professionality, because of course you need some vision, and the profile of these facilitators, in my opinion, should be thoroughly thought, because they are a key link between needs and solutions. And they have to have the fantasy to be capable to identify, okay, this is an industrial need, how I can solve it in the portfolio of solutions that I know I have, thanks to the link with the network of players I have, thanks to the expertises and so on. Because sometimes, of course, it's easy to say, okay, you have a need, I call a professor, you sit on the table and you analyze it. But sometimes maybe you have a portfolio of available solutions, and this is where the capability to identify solutions through the best practice exchanges and so on. And you have to have the capability to understand that maybe something that is applied in the field of shipping can be applied also in agriculture by simply adapting it. And it's not an easy task to be arranged, because it requires a little bit of professional orientation. So I think that one element that could really make a step forward for us, for Europe, is to generate this kind of profiles that are not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but maybe we could think about how to generate this kind of specialized middleware translators between needs and available knowledge or solutions.
Yeah, if I may add, I think we need action on two levels. So this is first is to increase the sort of basic level knowledge of researchers and students on how to valorize research results, knowledge, to have basic understanding about the intellectual asset management, engagement with the industry, private sector, and also citizens and other societal players. But then we have this second layer, which are sort of expert facilitators that I think Massimo was just describing. That this is also in the code of practice that to improve the professionalization of intermediaries. So I mean, it's traditionally the knowledge transfer offices, organizations who have these facilitators there, but they are also in other places, like in science parks and incubators. I mean, there are also some living labs, etc. So there we need to have much. I mean, this kind of expert knowledge, really professional level. So we have two levels to work on to improve the skills.
I was muted. And we have 30 minutes for our last question from Katja.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Katja Ferrari. I would like to be this kind of person because I'm working as a cluster manager in our region in Emilia-Romagna, and I'm not a manager. I became a manager with my experience, professional experience, but I have a technical training. Our cluster is a regional cluster, Green Tech, and we are working on energy and sustainable development. And I'm formed in environmental sciences, and I have a PhD in innovation engineering. So I'm doing the manager, but our goal is to put in contact ideas from academia with industry. And yeah, I think that is a very difficult task and is very important. I'm not alone. We are a group of people, and I prefer choose collaborators that have some technical expertise, not just managers. And we also have an ecosystem with Arter and other clusters. So it's a system that is supporting the needs between needs and knowledge. And it's very tough. I will make an example of bad practice that I think that is very useful to understand the difficult. In Italy, university work with time modalities that are very, very different from companies. And a few days ago, I received a proposal from one of our university members to organize a workshop to present the preliminary results of research to industries, asking me directly to invite companies to join companies to the meeting. And they asked me which is the best moment in the day to organize that. And I clearly say that it's in the afternoon. And they say, no, it's not possible for us. For us, the afternoon is impossible because we have to do. So it is very difficult. And they choose to make the meeting in the morning. So this is a very simple, stupid example that demonstrates how it's difficult to put together this kind of different work. But it's just, at the end of this webinar, just to say that the difficulties are several. But I agree that the intermediates are important. The clusters in Europe, I think that there are important entities that could be supporting for that purpose. Just that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So So I think there's some difficulties, and then these intermediaries and the people understanding both sides and being able to put together the processes and the people to get the collaboration going is really important. I think we have to end the webinar here. And due to time, and I would like to thank you very much for attending, everyone, at the webinar, and especially a big thanks to the 3 speakers with the excellent presentations and also discussions afterwards. And also thank you for Maria Grazia and for Katja for speaking up in this Q&A round. So see you around for the next webinar in a few weeks as well. You will be posted. So thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
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 Recording here, Doug?